making it easier than ever to work with me. As the cost of living is increasing for many, I'm decreasing my prices to make my services more accessible to you. In addition to that, for those of you who regularly watch me on YouTube, there's a special discount for you using the code YT at the link above. So when you're going through the dark night of the soul, how is the way ahead going to be illumined? If you look for your light from external sources, when those external sources suddenly begin to fade or to wane of their own accord, what are you left with? That which you have always had in the first place, which is you have to illumine the path ahead from within. You have to know your own way. In this existence, it may sound like something that's a really, well, not so pleasant fate, but we enter this world alone. We experience and we encounter other people. But yes, at the end of the day, we end the world alone too. But not necessarily, because there is one that is with you all of the time. Your connection with your soul stays with you for eternity. And so when you're going through difficult experiences, probably much like what you're going through right now, it's easy to be, well, more prone to the suggestions of other people. After all, we value and we respect those others who are in our life rather intensively. They come along, they provide us with comfort, they bring us joy, they bring us happiness. Sometimes they tick us off too at the same time. But then again, there are some people we feel, more comfortable with the closer to us that they are. And there's some people we'd rather keep at bay. But in a sense, all of those energies we tend to look at for understanding of our own existence, right? But when you have to make a difficult decision, probably again, like you're having to do right now, you need to take your own path into account. Now, I'm not for a single minute suggesting that the actions that you take at the present moment need to be selfish. But I'm not at the same time suggesting that perhaps they shouldn't be. What am I suggesting? Well, as we're entering this new moon cycle with, of course, the sun and moon in Pushya. Pushya is about acceptance, okay? On one level, it's about many other things too. But that's the cycle that's coming to the surface with this particular new moon. That's the energy that's surfacing with Pushya. Pushya is symbolized by a flower. Now, it's not a fancy flower. It's not like a super spiritual lotus flower, like, with thousands of petals. It's just a simple flower. So the idea is, well, if you plant a seed, you're going to get a specific something from it. It can only become what it's going to become. So when Pushya is active, quite often there's a certain degree of acceptance of limitation, as there is at the present moment, in addition to a willing sacrifice that either needs to be made or needs to be made for yourself. What do I mean by that? Sometimes we're in a situation where we're called upon to make a sacrifice for a situation, and we have the choice of going, am I going to accept this limitation going forward by placing myself in the situation where I'm making a sacrifice for other people, or am I going to make a sacrifice of that other situation for myself? That's precisely what I mean. Now, as this is going on, there's also a building up of tension between Mars and Saturn. Mars is in Purva Falguni Nakshatra. Purva Falguni often brings things to the surface related to relationships, but ultimately that relationship that we might be experiencing, well, some difficulty in the dynamics of, ultimately has its foundation within as to whether or not we're really very deeply connecting to ourselves, relating to ourselves, knowing who we are and what we want from the situation. Now, directly across the sky from that is Saturn in Shatabisha. So there's a healing crisis in connection with a specific relationship, more than likely that's going on in your life at the present moment. But it relates to a healing crisis going on in relation to your connection to yourself. Mixed into the equation, this new moon is forming an opposition with Pluto in Shravana. Now, Shravana is about, it's symbolized by the ears, so it's about tuning in beneath the surface of things. But sometimes it also has a connection to the words that other people might say, because sometimes with that chitter chatter going on, then, we pick up on facts that other people are saying things about us. Sometimes other people say things about us, and people hear things that we don't want them to hear, all of those things. But this particular new moon cycle, what's happening is more whether you're going to listen fully to the input of all those other people who are in your life, or whether you're going to tune into yourself and what feels right by you. So with the path ahead, a certain level of it is going to require, well, I shouldn't even say a certain level of it, a large level of it is going to require accountability on your part. So make sure that the things that you're getting into are things that you can commit to. Make sure that you're able to dot those I's. Make sure that you're able to cross those T's. Make sure that the things that you're saying that you can do are things you're actually going to be able to do before you make the commitment going forward. So tune into yourself. What do you feel is appropriate? When you think of your ethics, when you think of your beliefs, when you think of your path and what's right for you, what does that tell you to do in the situation that you're dealing with? If it's telling you to phone a friend and see what kind of answer you might be able to get from them, well, sometimes that's very soothing to do, but ultimately the decision lies with you. So you will be much stronger and have a much more stable foundation in the actions that you're taking in the days ahead if you go at it from that space within yourself, from that heart-centered space. Now, you hear me talk about that a lot. I kind of want to go into that for a second, because when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about the concept of anahata, which many people know as the heart chakra. But, there's something very profound about that concept. Anahata translated means the sound that is made by two things not striking each other. It also translates into meaning unwounded. So it's that concept of pure innocence of self. When we're able to tune into that, when we're able to know who we are, we only deepen the foundation of self-trust for the path ahead. So even though it is important to know what other people want in the situation you're dealing with, when you take that information in, you have to make the decision in relation to what you're going to be able to live with. A rather, well, I don't want to make it sound huger than it is, but a rather important sacrifice lies ahead of you. And you need to be able to go all in or go in a completely different direction. And if you could use a little bit of help sorting through that, once again, my rates are much lower than they have been in quite a long time. I did a cost of living decrease to make it easier for people to work with me. And I'm actually offering you a discount on my services too, using the code YT at the link above. That's going to do it for this look at the new moon in Pushya Nakshatra, which takes place tomorrow on the 17th of July, 2023. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.